Hello everyone! Since my channel is about economics, let's talk about the economic consequences of the conflict in the Persian Gulf. Interesting fact, the US national debt increased by more than $100 billion in less than 3 days of war in the Middle East. Even though every US president always says before elections that the national debt is a huge problem for the US economy and that it needs to be reduced, as far as I can tell, they have no intention of actually doing that. The South Korean stock market suspended trading after dropping by 8% almost immediately after opening, activating a mechanism to prevent sharp price fluctuations. Things are also very bad in Japan, where within a few hours of opening, the stock index fell by almost 4%. However, the situation is a bit better on the Chinese exchanges that have already opened. In Hong Kong, the drop was 1.5% and in Shanghai, less than 1%. At the same time, the American market also opened with a significant decline. Japan is preparing a plan in case liquefied natural gas supplies from the Persian Gulf region are halted, Prime Minister Sanai Takai announced. I don't know what kind of plan they're preparing over there, because in reality they don't have any choice. Well, there is one option, of course, but it's one they don't like. There's Russia nearby, which has natural gas and also oil, and you could even easily get there by boat. The real issue is that their big boss, the USA, might give them a slap on the wrist for that. I found a chart that shows the dependence on the Strait of Hormuz by country in terms of the percentage of crude oil imports. Note that Japan is affected the most, 72%. Next is South Korea at 65%, followed by India at 50% and China at 50%. Europe has a fairly average figure, 18%, which by the way is also not good. But for the United States it's only 2%. In fact, all countries suffer so much because of the Strait of Hormuz that the most logical solution would be to lift sanctions on Russia, and then the problem would be easily solved. But since the US isn't really affected, they only experience a 2% discomfort, most likely this won't happen. Honestly, I'm starting to like US geopolitics. They just do everything. Look, everyone else is suffering, but they're not. India is trying to obtain temporary permission from the United States to purchase Russian oil. The halt of shipping through the Strait of Hormuz has deprived India of about half of all its oil import flows. Spain has forbidden Trump from using its military bases to attack Iran and has therefore expelled a US Air Force tanker stationed there. Despite this, the US has stated that it will continue to use military bases in Spain for operations against Iran if necessary, regardless of Madrid's discontent, Donald Trump said. The US will cut off all trade with Spain, declared the American leader. Spain was a terrible country. I ordered all relations with Spain to be terminated, Donald Trump stated. I'm not even going to comment on that. That's just so typically American. A suspicious account was found on Polymarket that placed large bets on various deals related to the topic, the US will attack Iran before March 1st. The bet paid off literally a day before the invasion, so the odds were extremely high. Most likely someone didn't just know something, they were certain. Panic has broken out at Phuket gas stations due to the threat of the Strait of Hormuz being closed. For those who don't know, Phuket is in Thailand. Tourists and locals are flocking to buy up gasoline, filling up their tanks and canisters after Iran's statements about closing the strait. At some gas stations, sales into canisters have been restricted, and Thailand's Ministry of Energy is warning that after March 4th, prices could spike sharply. At the moment, oil is trading at around $83. Oil prices will kill us all, declared Serbian President Vučić. Europe will descend into hell if the Strait of Hormuz is closed, he said. I've already said what the solution is, and it exists. Lift the sanctions, and oil will immediately start flowing to you through the Turkish stream, and it can also go through Ukraine via the Druzhba pipeline, he said.